Lincoln High School. And I've been a part of Cameron House summer program since about kindergarten. This was my third summer being a volunteer at Cameron House, and all 3 of those summers I spent volunteering with Cameron Ventures. This year I chose to volunteer with Cameron Ventures 1, 2, 3, so that's the little kids. Growing up in the Ventures program, I loved the thought of camp every year, like after school. My leaders were always fun and enthusiastic, and I didn't know how to be as impacting and unforgettable as they were to me. Going into the summer, I was unsure that I was going to be volunteering at all because my parents had signed me up for SAT classes. Fortunately, my schedule worked out, so I was there 4 days a week. And so, being considered an experienced leader, I dealt with most of the problems in my group. Early problems arose when 2 campers became extremely close. Now, that might not seem as a bad thing, but they were very good friends, and that was cool and all, but it got to the point where they started excluding other people in our group, and that was not good for our group bonding, and it wasn't good for our group in general. So, that was about the first half of summer programming, and then one friend of the pair left camp and he never came back. And his good friend, he didn't seem to show any emotion to this result, but he gradually changed. He refused to play games that weren't his favorite games. He started bullying kids, started fights. He talked back to the leaders and would use inappropriate language. If things didn't go his way, he would throw a fit, and that was unacceptable. When a camper acts up like this, leaders usually give them the talk. That strains them out, and for the rest of the summer, they're a good kid.
That's a miracle.
Now this talk is an ultimatum. If it's basically choosing if you want to have a good summer or you want to have a not fun and boring, really boring summer. Being a leader before this talk, I've used before, and after it, kids usually brighten up, and the summer turns out great. But this camper, who was given the talk several times, mostly by myself, he didn't get the message. A leader usually gains respect from the worst of kids through this, but it didn't faze him. He just rolled his eyes and simply agreed to the terms, saying things that a leader wants to hear. And seeing this, it was quite scary in such a young boy. Nobody likes timeouts because not only is it a timeout for the campers, but for the leaders. We enjoy the same boredom. And I was trying not to be harsh and trying to take different approaches to soften his attitude. But the more I budged, the worse he got. He would break promises, and he wasn't taking the warning serious enough. But strange thing was, his weak point seemed to be when he was with younger campers or people he knew, people he was familiar with. Like in line, he was partnered with a first grader who is really small, and he couldn't keep up because his legs were so short. And in line with this first grader, he'd be a really good kid. Like, he would make sure that they kept up with the line, even if it meant that he had to hold his hand, and it was a different side. And kids he saw at camp that he recognized from school, he would say hi to and make a nice conversation, like, oh, how did your parents find out about Cameron House? And it was nice. And at the park or at a field trip, he was a bad camper, but at sight, it was completely different. At sight, I found a nice boy who always played board games and rarely misbehaved. In fact, I'd play board games with him like every afternoon. And I was able to talk to him like any other kid, and that was really nice. And his favorite game was Monopoly, so we played just about every afternoon, and he was nice, like, whenever I was short on money because I bought too many houses, take some over. So having dealt with this boy the whole summer and see how much his attitude and overall mood changed gradually, I tried to teach him as much as I could through the talks we had. I'm sure he'll soon forget what I tried to convey to him, but I can only hope he can remember me. But I know that, for one fact, I've learned a lot from him. And that is that people change with their environment. Like many have heard, high school changes people. Whether it be good or bad, there's definitely a difference between them in middle school and in high school. But changes can occur in a matter of weeks, having either big or small effect on that person. The environment not only being where they are, but who they're with and what they're doing. So on the last day of camp, while kids were leaving site, I attempted to give him a big hug, but he ran away to his dad. But as he walked out the doors, he wore a nice big smile, and that made me feel really good. Thank you.